Hello everyone, Calamity here, and still no goth girlfriend for some reason. This video is going to be all about the current banner that's out right now in the new version of Genshin Impact 3. Or 4.9, I think we're at now. Anywho, the banners that are currently happening are Navia's rerun and Nilou's rerun. Now this video is supposed to help you decide on which character might be right for you or which one you might enjoy playing more. Now, let's get this professional, boring answer out of the way first before anyone comments this. Yes, you should pull for the one that you find more fun. So take them both to the character trial, see which one you like, and, pick whichever one is more fun for you. And if they both end up being fun, well, I hope you have gems for both of them. Same if you're like, oh, I like Navia because she's my waifu, or Nilou because she's my waifu. If that's the reason for your pulls, go for it. If they're both your waifu because you like them both, again, hope you have enough gems for both then. This isn't really a video for you. This is more to help newer players that aren't familiar with their playstyles with Navia and Nilou, and to help players decide if they're a character that they want to spend time building and actually using all the way up until the end game in Spiral Abyss, as well as the Imaginarium Theater. So let's go ahead and start talking about them. The first one is going to be Navia, and I'm just going to go ahead and just save you the clickbait or the having to sit through the whole video. She is the character that I recommend for newer players to pick over Nilou, and let's talk about why. The first being she has way more team variants than Nilou does. So your goal when it comes to Navia is to do the crystallized reaction. This is essentially bullets, so to speak, for her umbrella gun. That's the main source of her damage, is the umbrella gun shot, which is her elemental skill, and she can do it twice. So Navia is a quick burst DPS character, so she herself can fit in a lot of teams. Like, she doesn't have to be the main DPS in the team. Just like the 4-star banner here is showing, you can use her as like a sub DPS to your Ningguang if you want to, or Chiori, or Arataki Ito or Noelle, whoever you want really, because she generates a lot of particles thanks to her elemental skill being used twice, and she also applies a lot of geos, so there's going to be lots of crystallized going around, which is good for her, but also it's like a nice little shield for your teammates, so when you're exploring, you won't have to worry about healing as much because you're constantly going to be shielded all the time. So just remember, for newer players, to do the crystallized reaction. That does limit Navia's teammates just a tiny bit, but way more freedom in teammates than Nilou, and we'll get to that in a sec. So Navia wants to be paired with Pyro, Cryo, Electro, or Hydro teammates. Any of those four can crystallize with Geo. You cannot crystallize with Animo or Dendro. So those types of teammates are not what Navia wants on her team. And that's pretty much the goal with her. Very simple. Again, her gun does a lot of damage, especially if you play it properly and you actually build up the 6 bullets you need to get the maximum amount of damage. It does a lot. I get anywhere from 100 to 150k when she crits on her elemental skill, so it's big damage. So if you've ever struggled in like the Spiral Abyss, like against certain bosses that have a small damage window looking at you, Weena boss fight that sometimes appears in floor 12, you guys know what I'm talking about. She can do her damage really fast. Her rotation is really fast, so it can be very useful in situations where you can't deal damage to the boss constantly. So she's really good in that aspect. The other thing I should also point out is, while her signature weapon is really cool, she's a claymore user, but her 5-star signature weapon does have an axe look, or it is an axe. It looks really nice, but again, it's not a mandatory pull, and that's something I'm going to talk about when we get to Nilou. She is a DPS, so any sort of DPS oriented claymore weapon that you have sitting around will work for Navia. If you want to share weapons, if you want to, if you have one just laying around for her, definitely okay with her. Like, you can give her a wolf's gravestone and she'll be fine with that. And as I said, when it comes to teammates, you have a lot of options. If you looked at the character trial, they gave you Zhongling and Bennett, which are really good for her. And that team is more focused on having Ningguang or Navia be the main DPS, whichever you want. But again, that's not your only choices. You can give her Farina, for example, as a Hydro teammate. You can do the whole Jingcho Yulon thing. They'll apply plenty of Hydro with your normal attacks. You can use Fischl, Yaimiko for Electro off-field application. Like again, so many options here. You can pair up with Raiden Shogun as well. That is why I recommend Navia. So again, more team versatility, easy to play, lots of damage, and honestly, she's a character I personally use like all the time. If you watch my Spiral videos, excuse me, you might be familiar with me using her a lot because I do use her there. And hopefully the footage in the background, while it is only Spiral Abyss floors 8 through 11, or sorry, 9 through 11, I didn't have time to record floor 12, I'm sorry. She is a really good contender for carrying you basically all the way up until endgame, so she's definitely worth building, and she's going to be useful for a long time, unless Natlan has some seriously hard-hitting power creep characters, but we won't know that until they come out. So let's move on to the other option, which is Nilou, and Nilou is still a very good DPS, a very strong DPS as well. But the reason that I recommend Navia over her is simply because Nilou is only looking for 2 types of teammates: fellow Hydro teammates and Dendro. That is all you want when it comes to building teams for Nilou, so you're very limited. Now let's also get this out of the way before anyone says this. Yes, you can do Nilou in the usual Vaporize teams or Freeze teams or any other non-Dendro Hydro related teams if you so choose. But that's like saying, I'm going to pull Ganyu and not use her charge attacks. You know, it's like, that's the part of her kit that makes her unique is Bloom team. That's why her team is called Nilou Bloom. And that's what she revolves around. She has a special version of Bloom. She upgrades your Dendro cores into the special, I forgot what they're called. They have like a special look as well. And they do a ton more damage than your regular Dendro cores based off Nilou's HP. So that's something you're going to want to build if you decide to go with Nilou. She is actually fairly easy to build. Again, just HP. And if she is going to be the one triggering the blooms on your team, then some elemental mastery as well is going to be really nice for you. When it comes to teammates, again, even though she is limited, there are a lot of options compared to when she was first. When she first had her banner, she had very little options, making her a very niche support, or a niche team / DPS character. But these days, you got Baiju, you got Nahida, you got Kaveh here in the 4-star banners as well. You got Yao Yao, you got Kirara. There's a lot of characters that you can pair up with Nilou nowadays, and for those that are unaware, the biggest threat to Nilou is not the enemies, but her own damage, because your own Dendro cores will damage you as well. So having a healer or a shielder like Kirara is going to help mitigate a lot of that damage you're applying to not only the enemies, but to yourself to keep you alive. So I do recommend pairing Nilou with a really strong team-wide healer and or a shielder just to keep yourself sustained and everyone healthy. Which is always going to be good. Now, when it comes to her weapon, you can pass up on her signature weapon. However, if you want Nilou to be an actual DPS character, and you want her to like do the damage herself, as in you want her to trigger the blooms and, you know, give her a lot more field time than someone else, then you're definitely going to want this weapon because it converts your HP into extra elemental masteries. This is so that you don't have to focus like on one or the other when it comes to your stats. So you can keep focusing on HP and try to get some elemental mastery on the side if you can. But this is going to help you get a lot of elemental mastery, and you're going to see a huge increase in damage. And that's also another reason why I didn't really want to, or why at least Navia wins over Nilou in this case, is because she doesn't have to have her signature weapon, but if you do want to use Nilou as a main DPS, on-field DPS, the one triggering the blooms, her signature weapon, you are going to notice a huge difference compared to using a 4-star option, which you could give her something like the Ziphos Moonlight, for example. But yeah, you're missing out on a lot of damage that she could potentially be having. Now, that being said, Nilou is fantastic when it comes to groups of enemies because, again, Dendro cores explode, dealing AoE damage. One thing I should note, though, for Spiral Abyss users, if you use her on floor 11, you know how there's that one stage where you have to defend a ley line? Well, I got some bad news for you. Nilou is awful for those stages because her blooms will actually damage the core or the ley line itself as well. So you might want to be careful if you use her on those stages. I had a rough time trying to actually beat it, especially with the iteration that's going on now with all the slimes exploding on top of it. Those ley lines just did not stand a chance. So I recommend using someone else. If you're trying to clear floor 11 with Nilou, it's going to be a bad time. However, for floor 12, she's going to do a little bit better because of all the, at least on the second half, all those pyro shields that she can easily destroy with her hydro application, the help of some teammates, and of course her bloom explosions. So she does better on floor 12 than floor 11. When it comes to constellations, like, is there does one character need a constellation to feel more comfortable than the other? Not really. Obviously, if you do decide to go for constellations for either character, they will, obviously they'll just do more damage, and in Nilou's case, obviously, yeah, more damage, but also like quality of life. Same with Navia, they just get easier to play, stuff like that. But both characters are very viable at C0, so don't feel like you have to pull more than one constellation for any of them to feel normal or to feel good or whatever. I think they're both perfectly fine at C0. And that's pretty much going to be it for me. I just wanted to make a short-ish video just to kind of explain what Navia's game plan is and what Nilou's game plan is. Hopefully the gameplay that I have in the background is enough to show you what they look like when it comes to more endgame content. Again, it is only floors 9 through 11, which are really easy, but I just wanted to, record some background gameplay footage on short notice. Again, both of these characters, whichever you pick, are completely viable for endgame, but I do think Navia does have the upper edge because of how fast her rotation is and how easy it is to do big damage. Up to you who you want to choose. If anyone else has more insight, more info you want to share on Navia or Nilou to try and persuade some newer players to pull for them, feel free to leave a comment down below. But that's going to be it for me. If this video was helpful, don't forget to leave a like and or subscribe to the channel. Helps me out a lot. I'm going to try to get some more videos out there. I know I've been lacking any uploads lately, but I've been having some power outages where I live, so it's been really annoying. I haven't been even able to play the update myself, because when the power goes out, then the internet's out, and even when the power came back on, my internet was out. It's been a rough few days to say the least. So I'm sorry again for the lack of uploads to my regular viewers out there. Thank you for your patience though, and with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.